How do you go from Caledonia, Ontario to Alabama, Huntsville?
Get asked that question a lot. It's just one of those things. They called, and it was a full scholarship. And like I said, come from a small town. Both my parents were extremely hardworking, and full scholarship can't be taken for granted. So I jumped at the opportunity, and a lot of people don't really realize how passionate they are about hockey down there. So I learned that over my 3 years, and got a soft spot for it ever since.
So after your career at Alabama Huntsville, you signed with the New York Rangers and spend a couple of years in the minor leagues, but you got a chance to come up and practice with them during their run to the Cup Finals in 2012. Anything you took from that experience and being a part and being around the team, watching that run that you can now use to your advantage?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can watch an all-world goalie and Henrik prepare day in and day out to go all the way. It takes not only physical endurance, but the mental endurance as well to stay mentally engaged, and that level of competition just continues to rise.
Pominville to Parisi, saved by Lundqvist.
Are there any similarities to Cam Talbot in 2021 compared to Henrik Lundqvist back in 2012, 2013, 2014?
No, if I compare myself to Hank, and other than maybe just work ethic, maybe the way I go about my work on and off the ice. I mean, he was one of the best to watch in that regard. He was always one of the first guys on the ice. We do crease work and stuff like that before practice, and he'd be one of the last guys getting off doing shootouts and stuff like that with the guys. And his mentality in practice was the same as the game, just hated getting scored on.
You were a couple of years as his backup in New York, earned yourself a chance to become a #1 in the NHL for the first time when you went to Edmonton. Were you ready to be a #1 in the NHL at that time?
I don't know if you're ever really ready until you get the opportunity, but I thought that my last season in New York was the biggest opportunity I was going to get to see if I was a #1 when Hank got hurt. So I prepared for that situation when I was in New York just by watching him and keeping my work ethic where it needs to be.
Your last season in Edmonton, things weren't going as well. Wound up going to Philadelphia and then signing in Calgary, essentially signing knowing that you would be a backup in Calgary. How did you handle that change?
Yeah, I played through some stuff that maybe I probably shouldn't have played through my last year at Edmonton, and it showed. I wasn't at the level that I was accustomed to be at and that the team's accustomed to having me at. So unfortunately it didn't work out there, but I knew that if I went to Calgary and just got back to what I've been doing for the past 4 or 5 years in the NHL, and knowing, that you have to be ready for every opportunity that you get.
Krug in the middle for Schwartz, across Tarasenko, glove saved by Talbot.
How did Minnesota come onto your radar?
It happened so fast. I mean, we didn't have any inkling that Minnesota was even interested until basically the day the free agency opened. Billy called my agent. It was so quick, there was barely even a back and forth. As a visiting player, I always liked playing at the XL. The fans are always engaged, they're always into it. You can tell how much they love hockey. The atmosphere has always been great. And ironically, I always had some of my best games when I came to play in Minnesota.
Pete Evison has used the word unflappable, and he says that the rest of the team feeds off of that. That he says if Cam, you can't tell if he just made a save or just given up a goal. How do you control that?
Honestly, I don't know. It's just one of those things where you don't want your team to think that you're down, because then they kind of get down. So it's one of those things, but you never want to see the other team see you frustrated either. If you make a save, act like you've done it before. If you let in a goal, pick yourself back up and stop the next one.
Is the Wild's game as ready as it could be for the playoffs?
I believe in this group. We've done it all year long. We've got the depth to play with anybody and the deep core that I put up against anyone as well. So I love our game right now. I love where we're at. This team could do something special this year, and I truly believe that.